Hi, welcome officially to Mom's Maths and Manuscripts. And today I'm joined by Ana Amaral, or should I say Dr. Ana Amaral, who has a PhD in biochemistry done in Portugal and around 15 years of research experience split between various places, different places, including two academic postdocs, one at Cambridge University and one at Karolinska Institute in Sweden. Her research topics have been cellular metabolism and mitochondria biology, first in brain cells and then in adult stem cells. She always loved to understand the tiny things happening inside human cells or cells in general, and the role of metabolic pathways linked to other functions such as regeneration. Passionate about science communication and communities, she also engaged in various communication initiatives and committees while at Cambridge and Karolinska, and this helped her to expand her skills and learn more about what she enjoyed doing. While she had a lot of fun working in research, she realized that she didn't want to become a PI and eventually decided to leave and look for something different that fit her better at that stage. This happened in 2020. Fast forward to today, Ana is now working as a yoga teacher, a leadership and career coach, and a workshop facilitator. And her mission is to support people connect with their human side, which she can really resonate with, and lead lives and careers that feel sustainable, fulfilling, and joyful, built from the body and heart beyond what their mind tells them they should be doing or what life should be. So I want to talk to you, Ana, about all of that. So thank you for joining me. Welcome.
Thank you.
I hope it's going to be a really inspiring and exciting conversation because there's so many things about identity, about leaving academia versus staying in it. Why the questions, why stay, why leave? How did you define this, carve out this new path for yourself? And I think it's going to be really helpful for people considering their next steps career-wise. But first of all, importantly, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking some coffee with oat milk.
Okay, cool. I'm having a cup of tea. So I always say that I want this to be like we're having coffee together, we're having tea together, and yeah, it's a very just friendly conversation, not an interview. So I have some stuff prepared for you, but let's just see where the conversation takes us.
Yes, let's go.
And I did give this introduction, right? And you've had a long career in research, long path in research. And I want you to tell me a little bit more about your journey there. First of all, how did you decide that you enjoy science, you like science, you want to study it further, you want to do a PhD? What brought you to science?
Yeah, wow, that's a long time ago. So I will just speak from what I remember. I never really had one thing that I wanted to do. And I was a good student in many different subjects, which made it quite challenging for me. I like many things. I still today, I'm a person always with many interests, and I like to explore different things at the same time. But somehow, first of all, I think it was also a little bit of a family influence because both my parents are from the science side. My mom has been a maths teacher. My dad was a doctor. And so they always try to influence me to go to these more safer study lines. But somehow I started to feel very interested in, actually it was chemistry more than biology. When I was in high school, I really enjoyed these classes where we could use our hands and kind of be in a little lab. We didn't really have a proper lab, but I really enjoyed chemistry experiments where we could mix these different liquids and look at what would happen. Then also we had a biology lab where we would have very basic microscopes. So I got very fascinated by these disciplines where we could interact with our environment and understand and explore. So I was very motivated by that, although I didn't really know what I could do after. I think I was always just driven by what I was excited about.
Okay.
And when I had to choose what to study at university, I was looking through some different options. And I was really into, okay, I want to do more of these laboratory things. And so I was exploring chemistry, pharmacy, biochemistry. And then for some reason, the plan of the biochemistry degree sounded more interesting through the different topics. And I just went for it. So I didn't really imagine myself working as a pharmacist in a pharmacy. And I just thought, well, I think I will enjoy studying this. So I will go for it and then I'll see. That's what I decided. And then I really enjoyed my degree. And more, the time we spent in the lab was really nice, and I really enjoyed that part. So for me, that was the key thing.
I see.
Should I go further, like into, you mentioned the PhD too?
Yeah, I was also curious, when we are in this career, I think this is all we hear basically, you do your bachelor, your master, if you need a master's degree, and then you go into PhD, and then you kind of like you are on this track. And at least in my experience, in my memory, that was sort of the only thing that was discussed during at least my bachelor years, and maybe even in my master's. That was the only thing that was sort of presented as available to us. And that's why I think a lot of people are kind of just automatically going into PhD programs without considering other options. Was that your experience as well, or did you like really deliberately knew that you wanted to study further?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was not really, I mean, in a way, it felt like it was the natural step. It was not like I didn't feel I didn't have any other option. I know, and I remember at the time, this in Portugal, we didn't know about many options to continue our career, and with a degree in science, things were very different from today. But I just really enjoyed working in this lab where I was at the time, and the environment was really good. I was very lucky to be surrounded by people who were very enthusiastic for science. And they just invited me, my supervisor, she invited me to stay and to continue on another project. And I just really felt like I wanted to stay. And I didn't know any other place. And actually, at the time, things were really quick. And she already had this idea that I should go to a lab in Norway to learn some techniques that I would be using later on. So we agreed kind of that I would apply for a PhD. And so I was also very excited with this opportunity to go abroad and to learn about the new country and do something different. So it felt so natural. So there was not this phase where I was kind of thinking, oh, well, what will I do? For me, it was just natural. So I just went for it.
Okay. But still, I mean, it does feel like you were following what was bringing you a lot of joy, which was working in the lab, right? So
Yeah.
already back then you kind of felt very intuitive and connected with this, or like aware of what brings you joy, what fulfills you, right? So you follow that. That's very interesting. But so back then, if you look back, if you like rewind a little bit to your PhD, would you say that you saw yourself continuing in this path, or do you think that already back then you were like, okay, no, I'm just going to do what feels good, what feels right in the moment? Or
No, I think back then I was really excited as a scientist, and I think also going abroad opened my perspective of the possibilities that were there for me. I mean, Portugal is a small country. We don't have that many institutes or universities. And then as I went abroad, and then as I also started to go to conferences, I was quite lucky to go to many international conferences in my PhD. I started to contact with so many different people and get to know about more high quality institutes and getting fascinated by other possibilities. Also, my experiences abroad were very positive. I really enjoyed being several weeks or months in another place. And I think also I was lucky that people were welcoming me so well. And I really enjoyed contacting with different cultures. It made me feel like after the PhD, I wanted to go to a different lab abroad. And I was really into like, no, now I want to go to abroad like full time to really understand how it is to be in a very international environment. And because I had this experience in my PhD that I was working in a niche in a big group, and it felt like almost no one understood a lot about the topic I was working on. I was working with metabolism in brain cells, and it was like a very broad cell culture lab where people work with so many different kinds of cells, and it had a more biotech focus. So I felt I had this experience of being in other groups in these short periods abroad where people all knew about this topic, like more neurobiology. So this was a goal for me, to be in a group where we could all know and discuss more about neurobiology, and I could be not so alone. So this was my goal for my postdoc, and I was really like, no, I want to go for a postdoc because I just enjoy this so much, and I want to see what else I can do, and maybe go to a place where I have more intellectual input and even more resources to work with. So this was what led me then to Cambridge.
Cambridge. Okay. And from there, so from Cambridge, then you moved to Karolinska for the second postdoc?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was the moment that you realized, okay, maybe academia is not it? How did that happen?
So I think it was already, so things at Cambridge were very challenging in many ways. I mean, it was such a different environment and many things were amazing, but also it was the time when I started to feel like maybe I don't want to do this for like on a long term. I had a great working environment and found great colleagues. And honestly, Cambridge is this place where you can find experts in any field, and it's so stimulating. And I also got to do a lot of stuff on science communication, which is great. Like in the UK, they invest a lot on that. But I also came across with this other side, like the true competitiveness of applying for grants and needing to publish high impact. And I think I was also not in a lab where things were so organized that I felt like we were so focused to progress on a certain study. I was very alone again at the end in my project. So I already at the time, I started to explore other alternatives and talking to people who are in the industry because I didn't really feel this drive of becoming a PI. There was not one topic that I felt really passionate that I wanted to continue studying for many years.
Yeah.
But what happened was that still the jobs or the possible jobs in industry didn't seem so appealing, because in a way I always loved the freedom and the creativity of the academic research, because we have a lot of freedom to explore what we wanted. So I was exploring a few opportunities, but I also didn't want to continue in the UK at the time. It was almost 5 years I was there, and I had this personal desire to move to Stockholm.
Okay.
Because it was another city that was very fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just actually took a very basic decision that what I want is to live in Stockholm. So let's just find a job that allows me to go there. And I thought it would be harder to kind of move area and move city. So I was a person with the academic experience. So I also knew Karolinska Institute, and it was a reference for me. And this is so interesting because looking back, I just remember that I subscribed to the job ads of Karolinska Institute, and I was getting the emails every week, I don't know, about new offers to see if something would come up. And in the meantime, I was applying for other things. And then at some point, when I was about to get an offer from another place, I found this position in Karolinska that felt like almost made for me, and it was on metabolism of adult stem cells. And then it was so easy. I just contacted the PI and we clicked really easily. And then he offered me a position very soon. So after I went to an interview and etc. So yeah, things just happened this way again.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was actually the best choice because I had such a great working environment, and it was my best time in science in my career, not only through because I had a really cool project, and I also had an amazing team. So this made me feel that I had all the conditions, and if I would still not want to continue, it was not because of the environment, it was really just because of something mine.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it so interesting to look back at these things and realize how much like chance and randomness and also our own sort of personal desires played a role in it, and not just kind of career drive and career directions? Because I also have a couple of stories of complete randomness that brought me to places. And
Yeah, exactly. I always feel that because I had found this opportunity so that I applied to go. It was an institute in Heidelberg that it was very applied research and in partnership with pharma companies. And the application process was really cool. We had to write a project to apply. And then we were selected for a boot camp there where we would work in teams to write new research projects. Mm-hmm. And I honestly just applied for fun. It was also something that gave me a little boost of like, okay, let's just do this for fun. I have nothing to lose. I don't think I want to go to Heidelberg. That's what I thought at the time. So let's just do my best without pressure. And it went so well that then when that ended, they wanted to hire me and give me a position. And I remember I was there and I was thinking, oh, why isn't this not in Stockholm? Because I really want to go to Stockholm. And then those days, it was when I found the position
Yeah.
to Stockholm. And then it was like, okay, no, I want to go to Stockholm.
So as an aside from the like general topic and the
Yeah.
idea of the conversation I want to have with you, why Stockholm? What was so fascinating about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I had this fascination with Scandinavian since the beginning of my PhD because I went to Norway for these few weeks and then I went back again for a few months in the middle of my PhD. And I don't know, I just love the organization of Scandinavian cities. And there is this peace, there is nature, there is just some energy that I like there. It's this contrast with the chaos of Southern Europe, or the people look very polite. And so, for me, I just really enjoyed being there. Even if people would tell me, other people, oh, it's so cold, and it didn't matter to me. And I knew that Stockholm was like amazing in terms of nature everywhere, and this captivated me a lot. I just found the city so beautiful, and there was just something pulling me there. I was there a few times before moving. And yeah, it's there's also something a bit unexplainable. I just knew I wanted to go. And I'm this kind of person that if I have something on my mind, I prefer to do it instead of not doing and never knowing what would happen. So it was like, no, this is the time. Because I had already considered Sweden as the place for my first postdoc. And then there were a lot also of external voices telling me, no, Anna, that's so cold. Oh, what are you going to do there? And then I decided, no, I will not listen. I will go because I know I will enjoy. Yeah, so that was it.
And in terms of the working environment and the kind of maybe the level of intellectual freedom or like how the communication worked, what was the difference and the contrast between, let's say, Cambridge and Karolinska? How did you feel there versus?
I mean, it was very particular more because of my group. My boss, he was very supportive, very available to talk to us, even if he would spend 50% of his time in Finland. But we felt that he was very involved. And I mean, overall in Scandinavia, there's also this respect for people's private time, and work-life balance is already something very valued by default by society. So that's amazing. But it's interesting to realize that I feel it was the highest in terms of competitiveness, or like we aimed high in this lab and we wanted to publish high impact, but I never felt pressure around me. So I also felt that I was very valued for what I was bringing. And my boss made sure we all knew what we were good at and what were our strengths, and he would support us in doing our best. So I really felt free to give my best. And I think this environment was really good so that we would all, we would also know where we were heading. So there were all these components, like our leader, he was amazing, like leading us to, you know where you're going, you know what are your strengths, you know what you have to do, you know if you have a problem, let's discuss, let's solve it together. And we also didn't feel a competition or overlap between the lab members. We were all very complementary, and all these things made it like a very good working environment and very great team, and we were very excited about work. So even if it was competitive in the way that we wanted to aim high, I never felt that we were there like, working hard to see if we could get there. It was just like a fun experience together.
This is so fascinating because it's like, this is a very rare story, I feel. This is not happening all the time. And like both just in life and on this podcast already, I heard some horror stories, and yours is very different because now, and also when we talked off the record before, I had a feeling that you were quite happy and like satisfied with the research career. So the decision that crystallized over time that you don't want to stay in academia was not because of the burnout and the stress and the environment and like horrible people competing and overriding and whatnot. It's just more so your personal kind of journey and evolution of your goals. Can you?
Of course, I mean, I saw a lot of those stories around me, and that also influenced me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yes. I mean, when you see what this environment can do to other people, it's of course affecting you as well.
Yeah.
But can you elaborate a little bit also on the decision to leave. And what do you think was, I don't know, either missing from academia for you, or like what was your evolution that brought you out of academia? What happened basically?
It's not like easy and simple to explain, because I really believe more and more that I know myself and I know other stories, that I feel we are slowly changing in life. Like we are always evolving, even if we don't realize. And I really love learning, and I started also to go into like personal development and understand how I can improve as a person. And I mean, already actually at Cambridge, we had this amazing department called Personal and Professional Development. And we had access to free courses on leadership and different kinds of things. So I opened my horizons to learn about these areas at that time. So leadership was a very interesting area to me. And then when I met this boss, I was always like learning from him on the spot. As I was working with this boss who was very enthusiastic about his own science or the topics we were working on, so like intestinal regeneration and stem cell homeostasis and etc., I felt that because I love to feel enthusiastic about what I do. And I was not feeling the same as I saw him feeling, and also a few of my colleagues. And I started to feel in me, okay, something is missing. And maybe being honest with myself, that many times I would want to continue working to feel the excitement around me from my boss because it made me feel so good. But honestly, it was not making me feel that good.
Okay.
And this was what I started to question again. Am I doing this for them or for me? And am I aiming to publish a certain paper to please whom? And I mean, I know, and I started also to reflect, okay, what motivates me at work? And I really know that I love to collaborate versus working on my own. And while we had this collaborative project, I was quite happy because this is what also drives me, and I like to co-create and to do things together. But again, I always felt that in academia, people always push us to, no, but you should also do your own project. And again, so my boss at some point, he was like, no, don't you want to do your own project? Which I find very positive, right? That supervisors do. And this also started to click here, like, but do I really want to do my own project? This means that I will work on this for at least 3 years or 4 to publish a paper. And it was all these little pieces together. You see that on the moment, maybe I was having fun, but I guess we always have to work to think a little bit ahead and where will this lead me? And again, I'm a person who wants to grow, and I could have stayed in a very safe place because I had all the conditions. Then they gave me an open-ended contract, and I could have just stayed doing my own research and helping a bit in the lab. I also was taking on some teaching opportunities, but there was just something inside me that told me that I was not excited enough. And this for me is so important. And I just felt that no, but I have a lot of talents, and I know that for sure I probably can bring more value if I feel this enthusiasm. And maybe it's time for me to learn something new, and I didn't have the courage before to dare to go outside academia. So even if it felt hard because it was many years, I decided to trust myself and also tell myself there is never too late. Because I also don't like these voices, these opinions that tell people, no, you should not do one postdoc or only one postdoc. It's like all these rules, I hate rules. I like to follow my own thing.
Yeah.
And I will always look for people and opportunities who help me confirm that my rules are valid and not feed the thoughts of people who say, no, if you don't want to be in academia, don't do 2 postdocs. I mean, I don't know. It made sense to me. So, and then it didn't make so much sense anymore. So I decided to shift.
This is okay. So this is turning into a story of courage as well, because you mentioned safety and that you could stay very safe with like contract that would support you, like for a long time if you wanted it to, and you could just continue doing things that you liked. You were not maybe super enthusiastic about it, but you still enjoyed it. The environment was good, so you could have stayed very safe, played it kind of safe and small in some ways, right? But you chose to go for the unknown. And also, I mean, you mentioned that it was 2020 that you left.
Yeah.
Did it coincide with the global situation?
Yeah,
Or
and then I mean there are so many things that influences in each time. So I had been thinking already about this change maybe for a year, and I was even going to do some volunteering in Africa to take some time off, and my boss had agreed. But then the pandemic came, and this puts things even more in perspective. So I was not working as much in the lab. I was actually not volunteer. I was working part-time at the hospital for 6 months there in Stockholm to help with COVID testing because I thought it was something very useful I could do. And then, yeah, I had more time to think, and there was always these. Also, I knew that I wanted to do something different. I had somehow talked to my boss at some point. I don't remember where it was. I think it was somewhere at the end of 2019 even, because even actually he was really nice. He even offered me to reduce my time. 80%, I was working 80% for a few months in the beginning of 2020 to start doing some courses around entrepreneurship because I wanted to explore, and he offered me this possibility. So Sweden is great for that because there's more flexibility. And at the time it started to, my doubt was, do I stay here and try to change, or do I go to Portugal? Because that's option also started to come up because I was away for 9 years and I felt quite disconnected from my country, also feeling I want to come closer to my family. It felt so hard because, yeah, I mean, you are away for 9 years. It's a long time. And I was just coming on holidays. I didn't really know what was going on. But it was a different feeling of being abroad and not knowing when I could come home for like freely. And we didn't really know how things were going to evolve. So that also weighted on my decision. And somehow all the reflection I did in the free time I had, suddenly it started making sense to come home and give it a try. I mean, I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do. I really wanted to study entrepreneurship at the time. So that was my idea, to then see what would happen. So I just slowly I decided to come home at the end of the year. Also, but with an open horizon. And it was like, okay, I never took like a long break ever since I did my PhD. So I also thought this could be the time that I had the possibility to do. So it was my decision at the time.
So before we continue into more like your entrepreneurship journey and how, you know, you started walking and the way appeared for you for the next step and stage of your life and career, how much would like, so would you say, I mean, likely you still had some doubts and some worries, even though this decision felt like, okay, it crystallized and it feels natural to leave, but how much of your identity was still like, okay, I'm a scientist and I don't know what I am outside of this? Would you say that you had this thinking, this issue?
Yeah, I think so. I now, I mean, now back then it's been a few years, and I have gone through this process of rethinking my identity, which I find so important. But it's, of course, like I worked most of my career as a scientist, and it feels like this is who I am. This is also how people see me. All I know comes from this world. But I also knew, I feel like maybe my small advantage was that I had done also many different things outside my academic scientist role that helped me to know that I could do other things. I think here the challenge was to believe that I could do them and being my job. So because it's easy to do other things on the side and not have the pressure of being a job. And then it was, okay, can I do that as a job while I don't have so much experience? Because as you build these years of experience, people see you with a certain expert title. But in other areas like science communication, project management, yeah, we have experience, but it's like, well, okay, now do I deserve to receive money to do those things? And I think this is a sometimes very unconscious and can be very subtle process, but it's really there. And even if we don't realize, it's like talking to us in the back of our head.
Yeah.
So I also had to go through that.
Yeah. it is.
Mm.
I feel like it is. I mean, for me, maybe it's still a little bit of a work in progress, even despite many years, because it is so ingrained in us. And then, yeah, you spend
Yeah.
so
But I
many
think
years.
also, I was so lucky again because I spent several months studying, exploring these courses on entrepreneurship, on innovation. I was also collaborating with a friend back in Stockholm remotely who had a startup. And I was helping him with some communication stuff, and I was putting that on LinkedIn. And I had also done like all these communication things. And then what happened was my previous boss, who was here in Portugal, she knew I was here and she had a need of someone working in communications at the biotech institute she was leading. And she ended up offering me a job opportunity. And I remember at the time I was a little bit in doubt of like, oh wow, someone is just inviting me to work on this area. Like she knew me from before, she trusted me, and then she just saw that I had experience in this field. So she offered me this opportunity. And at the time, I really felt like, oh, wow, someone is trusting me to give me a job in this area,
Mhm.
even if I had never really worked professionally. So I think I also had to accept that if someone else is trusting me, I should also trust myself and I should also just go for it.
Yeah.
And I think there are these two situations is like you have to trust other people, but then if you also want to do your own thing, as I'm doing now, what can happen is that we are the ones who don't trust ourselves, and we are also the ones who have to tell ourselves, like, no, I trust myself.
Mhm.
Why do you need other people to trust you before yourself? So
Yeah.
in that case, it was someone else, but I also had to do my part, right? Because we can always have this imposter syndrome, like, no, she will realize I'm not so good. And I think this happened with me for a while. And then slowly I was like, no, I think I'm doing a good job. So like, oh, I'm so grateful that someone gave me this opportunity. And now it's my turn to really show that I can do it.
Yeah. I mean, our brains need a bit of proof, and like in your case, you got this sort of first proof by
Mhm.
somebody else trusting in you, putting their trust in you, right, and offering you this position. But then, even if you didn't have that, probably you would have started and you would have gotten this proof from actually action and working in there, right?
No, but and I mean, I think it's easier in the beginning of our career. We have very little experience.
Yeah.
So all we want is an opportunity, right? And when that happens, oh, someone is offering me a job, you go for it, and then you start building experience.
Yeah.
But then as we build several years of experience in one thing, I think as we were saying, we start to form a certain identity that, oh, I'm very experienced and knowledgeable about this. But what about this? I mean, do you enjoy? Do you think you could do it? Like, let's go. And then it's talking with that part of ourselves that starts to say, no, 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 but maybe I'm not so good. I'm not that person. I'm that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're also, I think the majority of people are naturally a bit afraid of looking like beginners and feeling like beginners, feeling like they're not really, yeah, experienced or doing a good job at something. And then,
Mm.
while you're building up this muscle and learning how to do certain things is when you also gain more confidence.
Yeah. I wanted to comment something around that because I also realized like I love to learn new things
Mhm.
and I love this feeling of trying something new. And I remember when I was a postdoc at Karolinska, at some point I started a new project in the middle of my job there. And I was setting up new techniques from scratch, like some things around sequencing and epigenetics that I had never done. And I was really excited. And I felt like a student again. And I
Mhm.
felt like my boss was supporting me. So it was fine. But I remember that he commented, my boss, that he was really happy to see me doing that. And he said, oh, maybe some people so experienced as you would not do this
Yeah.
because they would prefer to go on their, like the things they are experienced doing. But for me, that's very refreshing. So if I see that someone trusts me to do something new for me, it's the best thing they could give me because it's
Yeah.
also rejuvenating somehow. And I'm just learning and
Yeah.
building again.
I guess in your current career path, it's also something that you are experiencing a lot of, like a lot of learning, a lot of new things,
Yeah.
trying things. Yeah, so
Mhm.
we'll get there. I wanted to also ask you, so at the cusp of leaving, or after you just left, and maybe even before you got this science communication position with your former advisor, were there external voices that kind of felt the need to comment or to say, what are you doing? You're leaving, first of all, safety, then everything that is so respectable, you know, so, oh my God, she's a scientist, kind of maybe criticized you for not having the next thing lined up already and kind of leaving into the unknown and taking this leap of faith into the void. Were there external voices that questioned or criticized or maybe, yeah, like affected you in that period?
I don't remember to have had such negative influence because I don't know, I think maybe the way I talked, I seemed quite certain of what I wanted to do, and I tried to explain people why. And I mean, probably many people find it scary to not know, but the way I talked was like, no, but for me this makes sense, and I also have the financial capacity to do this. It's like, for me this is not a problem. Yeah, I mean, for my family, in a way, they were also happy I was coming closer to them. So at the time I didn't see them so worried. Also, it was COVID, and so for the beginning it was okay. So I don't remember to have had so many critical voices, more these people who were like finding it scary, but not trying to make me change my mind. I think I was also just surrounded by very supportive people.
That's great. Yeah. I think for my side, like I was surprised by how supportive many people were, because after I decided that I'm quitting my PhD and leaving academia, I was afraid to tell people because I was afraid of the criticism and afraid of people trying to change my mind. But I mean, some people were, and not that it really affected my determination, but still, like, it was a bit like weighing on me heavy. So it's so lovely that, I guess, you know, maybe you just projected so much confidence that people were like, no, this is a wall I cannot really break. But that's great that you had a lot of support. And, you know, maybe again, for both of us, it was 20-ish that it coincided with pandemic and everybody was a little bit lost and like, what's going on? So there was a bit of like maybe space. So maybe a positive thing that came out of that is that there was a bit of space to like question things and think about it. Yeah.
No, I think I remember also to talk with my lab colleagues, and this was a process, and they knew that I was not super motivated to continue, and I was always open about like what kind of possibilities I was exploring. And I think I was lucky that, and I mean that behavior helped them to follow my journey and to understand that this was just like a logical step, although of course they were very sad, and it meant that we would not continue to be so close geographically. And but I mean, I remember that even one of my colleagues, she was telling me, oh, you will see back in time, like pandemic time, everyone is taking it so slow, you will not lose time. I really remember this kind of comments. So even my boss, he was really supportive. And
Oh man, we need more bosses like that in academia. You tell me these things and I'm like, I wish I had somebody like this in my journey. That's amazing. Can you now tell me a bit more about, so you moved to Portugal, you picked up this job in science communication. How did that then progress to like more the direction where you are now?
This was also like a journey. I mean, as I told you, this was not really a job I looked for. It was something that came to me, and it sounded like a nice opportunity. So I took it at the time. And it was like, I mean, it was a great experience for me to learn about being uncomfortable, because it was a very different environment. So it was more close to corporate. It was a biotech institute that had a lot of contracts with pharma companies. So they had a certain structure that was really not academia. So, and I was heading the external affairs area, which included the corporate communication. Also, I was leading an innovation program, an internal innovation, and then also I offered to start a leadership development program there because I really like this area, and I looked for the opportunity to do what I really liked, because I was already like, oh, I like people. I want to do something with people. I didn't know exactly what. But it was a lot of different things, a lot of work, and a lot of pressure sometimes. I don't know, it was part my pressure, part outer pressure, maybe. But there was a lot of work. And in the beginning, I was alone, doing everything. I didn't have a team. But I also felt that I needed to understand what the job entailed so that I could decide how I was going to build a team, because I was just so new there and I had very little support in the beginning. Like the transition was very short, like the people who were before. So basically, I just had to like survive the chaos and organize it myself and like, jump on the train while it's already running. So I really learned so much and I was there 2.5 years. But I don't know, I just started to feel it was also not for me, because in this case was really something that my body was also telling me that this is not for me. I mean, I really tried my best and I know that I was very valued in the work I did. I mean, I brought this fresh perspective from being abroad, and many people there were working here and had never left or had left just for a few short periods. So I felt a little bit of also a cultural clash in the way people thought. And I came with this desire of doing different things to change. And I realized like some things were not possible because also the institute has a certain direction that they have to follow. So it was like this structure that you have to obey. And I mean, I was used to being a small academic group where everything I wanted to do was easier to be done. And I mean, of course, my worries were different. So there you have to align with the management, which was an interesting perspective to gain. So you need to understand how an organization works and how are their goals, and then to convince them that the things you want to do align with their goals as well. So there was a lot here to learn and to understand. But at the end, I think it was really this, my creativity and my need to create things was not free. There was no space for it there, because I had to do the things for the company and what they needed. And so in certain ways were nice, certain things, because I learned, and I was really happy that I had this opportunity to lead the project of a new website for the Institute, which was actually a very cool project I did. I like to do projects and long things. And again, I could collaborate with people of different backgrounds, designers and branding people. And so we could do a very cool new website for iBet. It was a little bit creative, so it was cool. But I mean, I don't know, I just felt, and this was a very hard decision, again, that I felt that my way was not there, doing things to help a biotech institute to grow. I felt that my mission was not really aligned, and what I needed was space to create my own things and to explore what I could bring to the world. And it was a very hard decision, but when your body tells you, you feel it. And at least I feel it because I'm very connected to it nowadays. And it's just, again, you remember I told you earlier that I want to feel excited about what I do. I like to wake up in the morning excited, and it has happened in this job because I really try to focus on the positives that I was bringing and finding the purpose within the role. And I also knew that the days I was feeling good and I was doing the things that are good for me, I could see it in a different way, which was what I focused for a while. I didn't want to leave just out of frustration.
Yeah.
I really invested on taking care of my well-being, and again, leaving when I'm feeling good and knowing that I did everything. But yeah, no, I just felt like, no, my body needs something different, and I will refuse to just stay here because I have a great salary and I have recognition and opportunity to climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
When you say that your body was like communicating with you, do you mean just the feeling like unsettled, or was it more actual physical symptoms and maybe some issues started to come up to say, hey, you're not in the place where you're supposed to be?
I mean, it was some kind of feeling in my belly that I was like being closed and not expansive when I'm working most of the time. Like you wake up in the morning and you don't have this excitement that, yeah, I'm going to do this and it's so cool. Most of the days like that didn't happen. And there was just something pulling me, telling me, no, Anna, this is not here. I mean, sometimes I had a lot of anxiety, but it was more in the beginning because I had so much to take care of and I needed to feel more safe. But it was more this feeling that I was not feeling open and doing everything I could. I felt restricted. It's like I wanted to fit in a box, to be there. And I could not be my whole self.
So again, as an aside, were you already practicing yoga at the time, and how did yoga come into mix? Because this what you're describing is such an awareness, such a level of like connection to the body and to yourself that I feel like many people don't reach ever in their life. And I'm like in awe sitting here, wow, thinking, you felt that, you understood that at the time, and it's pretty amazing because a lot of people really don't read these signals, don't notice them, ignore them, push through them. And you knew that this was happening and you acted upon it, which is also another big thing. Was yoga already at play, or?
Yeah. Yoga was. And for sure, I'm sure that yoga has helped me to have this connection. I was practicing yoga very regularly since, many years, but like really since I came back to Portugal in 2021, I was practicing it weekly with a teacher I found here. And she really influenced me in an amazing way to have a consistent practice. And it's really an amazing practice for us to spend time with ourselves and with our body, and also kind of get to know what's going on inside us. I mean, yoga is a very deep experience if you allow it to be. And my teacher always brought that, like a lot of philosophy, a lot of self-knowledge. And also she would always bring these reflection points to the classes that I felt like alongside this job. I was always going to this class and reflecting about my life and questioning everything. And yeah, I mean, yoga is my pillar. It has become my pillar of well-being, of centering. And yeah, when you are practicing, you learn to pay attention to the different parts of your body. You connect to your breath. You are become aware of how you breathe. And slowly I became very connected to the need of moving my body and understanding that when I don't move as I need, also my mind starts to suffer and to change the quality of my thoughts. I mean, I also did therapy when I was doing this job because everything was so challenging. And I think all this process brought me so much awareness of my mind and what kind of thoughts I'm feeding, how are they influencing my body, and vice versa. So all of this contributed to me really reading from my body to understand what I need. I think, yeah, it's a magical. It's what we are, and we should just learn how to use it, right? There's so much that we have that can help us navigate life.
Absolutely. I can absolutely relate to this because there is so much communication happening within you, and you like we're disconnected from it often in our modern lives and just in the daily kind of hustle and grind. And once we learn to tune in and kind of recognize and distinguish the signals, so many things become clearer and better.
And also, I think all these years here, I really dove into all these areas. I also did my coaching certification, and we learn to self-inquire ourselves and to self-reflect. And so I got more and more interested in questioning what is really driving me in life and what motivates me, and to observe in other people and to realize that a lot of this is missing. And I wish I could bring this to others. And I remember to talk with some friends, and they telling me like, oh, wow, you are amazing and you are so inspiring. And like, and then I started to believe that I could maybe do this as a job and bring it to other people, although that is very scary, and it still is.
Yeah. But basically, this was also a decision grounded in the body and in kind of feeling that this is your mission, this is your path in life, right?
Yeah. Also with the help of a coach who also helped me to connect the dots and connect, these signs from the body, from the mind. And I think slowly I also got to realize that again, when you start to learn about all this information you carry with yourself and the ability to feel and to feel in others, I learned through these years that I have a high empathetic capacity that I was ignoring in me, maybe because it felt too intense, and automatically I decided to put it aside because it was too much to feel things around me. I didn't have this awareness. And now I learned that no, actually I can feel a lot from other people. This is a gift. This is an advantage. How can I use it? Still learning that, but it's also something, and I wish that I could teach a bit other people to do. Like, we all feel things all the time, but we are not aware, and we don't learn to identify that. We are just like using our mind, thinking and doing stuff, and whatever comes to kind of challenge this situation, we put it aside, like, no, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. This is too much. So also that's why I say I want people to tap more into their human potential, especially in a world that starts to be so dominated by technology.
That's a big task. So now you're working more with, you mentioned that you're a leadership coach, right? And
Yeah.
who are the people that you're mostly working with or you desire to help?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still a journey, and I'm still narrowing down exactly the people I want to work with, or probably this will also be an evolution. But what I started to do, also linked to the yoga I'm teaching, is like I really feel and I see around me this strong need for people to slow down their lives. And at least to create moments to pause and to observe what's happening with them. So what I started doing, I created this short program that I called Soft Reset that has very simple tools to help people slow down, like take pauses in their week, to follow some meditations I recorded, and to ask them, how does your body feel? What's on your mind? What are you feeling? And then how do you rest? How do you replenish your energy? How do you use your energy during the day? How can you recover based on that? It's not just lying on the couch. It's a lot of things you can do to nurture your energy, to feel energized and alive again. And I think just this has been very useful. And I've worked with several clients last year, like mostly women who felt or very overwhelmed because of work and all the things they had to do. And they could not take time for themselves, or they wanted some help to take some time and to pause and to gain some tools to self-regulate, to find some peace. So this was what I was running last year, and it was very, very helpful for them. But now I want to take a step further, and I was already been building a bit longer program. What I wanted was to combine this part then with for people to identify some deeper changes they want to do in their lives, eventually in their career. And so first helping them to connect with what their body is telling them and finding some balance, and then understanding how they can create this change in their lives based on that, and not because of whatever society tells them to do. So I'm planning to launch a longer coaching program to work with these transformations, and I mean also working on leadership aspects, because for me leadership is like everyone can be a leader, to know how you want to lead your life based on which values, understanding what people want to base their life on and how they can lead their life, setting their boundaries, communicating what they need, and connecting to themselves and to others to carve their path. So this is what I have in mind for now.
Exciting. I'm really, really excited to see how it's going to go for you this year. Okay, maybe one of the last questions that I had in mind is, so this, throughout this natural like evolution of your identity from scientist to entrepreneur, would you say that skills gained in academia are helping your entrepreneurship journey, and which skills are helping and which skills are maybe didn't transfer very well and are hindering the or skill, not skills, but maybe like some conditioning that is maybe hindering the process a little bit? Do you think there is something like that?
Yeah, so in terms of skills, for sure, for me, doing a PhD is a really amazing experience, because I think a PhD, in my experience, has helped me to navigate uncertainty and solve problems. I think that's the key thing, because you face problems all the time. And when we start a thesis, although we have a plan, we have no idea how it will go. And we all
Mm.
know it never works according to what's written, right? It's kind of just an idea. So for me, entrepreneurship is that way. And honestly, I love it because I love solving problems all the time. The only challenge is that we need to sustain ourselves financially as we go. And in the beginning, there's so much to experiment, to put in place. But hopefully I'll get there. So I just love this environment of having a problem in front of me and understanding what I need to solve it and what do I need to learn, because this is also what we do in the PhD. You then understand, okay, I need to learn this technique. Let's go. I need to read these papers to know more about this topic. And now I'm learning about marketing and sales and business. So it's other areas, but I know what I will need to go learn to solve my problems and build my thing, because I know I want to get to that place. So also setting a goal and understanding what are the small steps to get there. So I think this is what I take from my academic time. Also trying to be creative in the way I do things, not taking the defeat or the how do I say this? When we are unsuccessful, not taking it so personally. That's not so easy, but it's also like something important to have with us. And you asked also what could be obstacles.
Yeah.
I think, and one thing that today I value a lot is I don't want to, and I don't make all my decisions from my mind, and I don't need a proof that I will only do things that were proven to work. I like to follow my intuition. And if there's something telling me that I should go that way and this is how it works, and I mean, especially working with people, there's so many unpredictable things. When we prepare a workshop, we also have to navigate whatever may happen. And then someone says something unexpected and you need to understand how to move on and how to handle. So I use a lot more my intuition than I was using in science, maybe more consciously. I don't know. But I feel like there should be, I think it's healthy to have a balance between what is scientifically proven and these models that we could use, but then there are many things that just it feels like our intuition knows, and I follow that, and things eventually work. And I think in science many times there's not so much space for that, because we are taught to follow very rigid processes, and it feels like, oh, if you don't prove it in this way, it's not true. But I mean, there are also situations where we can use our intuition in the contact with people, right? In everything that is not like science data, and that it's important for people to practice. So this is just what comes to mind now. I think it's also using really my intuition and believing that just something that makes sense now is what makes sense, and not needing to know everything and to have a protocol before I test something.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think you're also, just based off of your story, you're also the person who kind of naturally maybe follows that path a little bit more and is more in tune or more connected with the intuition. But in general, how do you marry and like this woo-woo side, the more yoga, Eastern things, intuition, and the more like logical, strict scientific side of yours, especially as you work with people who might be a bit resistant to the woo, who
Yeah.
might be a bit like, no, intuition, like what are you talking about? I need to have facts. I need to have like everything under control and everything prepared and everything planned. And how do you get to that side of them that is more in tune and
Yeah.
less logical?
I think we need to go slowly, step by step. I think most people, to be honest, they know that intuition exists and they know this is there. They just don't know how to access it. And they agree that it's important to follow what our intuition says and not just what other people say, because probably most people have stories that, oh yeah, I didn't follow my intuition. I thought I should do that and then it didn't work. Then the problem is how, right? Where is that and how do I listen? That's why I want to do this work. It's like teaching people that it doesn't happen suddenly. Like if you are not trained to use a part of your body it will take a bit of time, but if you start taking that time and you start to notice, you start to meditate a little bit, or to train how to listen to your thoughts using some journaling, or also just, practicing yoga or any other kind of physical activity that also helps you to be more in tune with your body, just increasing self-awareness. I think it's a way. So it's trying to understand what works with some people, and helping them feel in their bodies the change. I think this is the most impactful thing. That some people just say, oh, I all over the place, I couldn't stop, and now with your help I was aware of so many different things that I didn't know. So
Yeah.
this is amazing to hear, just because we cannot also force people. I'm here to offer my knowledge, my support, but people need to do the work. This is the most critical thing. Like, I cannot force anyone. If the people who are there and who feel like they've been too much on their mind, they would love more to tap into their intuition, to their body, so that they know like how to live in a healthier way in balance with themselves. It's really about it. Like, why should we push if we know that we are so exhausted? But we cannot do it in another way just because we feel like, oh, this is what I should do. Maybe start to question, do you tell yourself too much, I should do? Maybe then you start to change a little bit, just to understand that, no, this is what I feel like doing because this is good for me.
It is difficult. I feel like, I mean, in society as well, we're kind of putting so much importance on the living here and the brain and the logic, and having like analyzing all the variables, and trying to predict, like, okay, if I do this, then this will happen. And we maybe intuition is a little bit like, people are aware of its existence, but sometimes they don't really put as much importance to it, or think that, yeah, it's not going to guide me to where I need to be going or want to be going. But it is, at least in my experience and in my life so far, looking back, I'm thinking, okay, when I followed my intuition, and this, like, things that seemed random, but then were in reality intuitive decisions, intuitive kind of guidance, I did well. And things happened that are now, like, I see the bigger picture. Where I ignored my intuition, I was not happy. So, like, looking back at it, I can see that. And I'm sure that also, many people probably have these stories as well, as you mentioned. But it is hard, and it is my struggle to kind of explain, and to some point persuade people that, yeah, you shouldn't be only stuck here in the head, but you should kind of drop into the body a bit more and use the whole thing to inform your decisions and inform your life, and not just the logical mind.
Yeah. Can I just add something? So something I also started doing last year that I want to continue this year, and it's like another idea I want to put out in the world at some point, which was to give workshops for scientists more on this emotional intelligence area, and make them learn a little bit about their emotions. And just purely in the sense that making them understand that this is helpful to improve their relationships at work and the way they interact in the work environment and then in their life in general. So it's not even saying it's like woo things, it's understanding that you are more than your brain. And even if you are in the lab thinking about possibilities and theories, you are a human who feels, and everything you feel conditions the way you behave. And just bringing this awareness will help people not only to navigate the PhD experience in a healthier way on their own, but also with the people around them, and becoming better colleagues. So this is another of my big motivations that I hope I can bring, just more human awareness, emotional awareness to people who are so rational, at least those who are open for that. And I mean, I was very happy that I was invited by a PhD program doing this, so meaning that they value this kind of knowledge. And I'm hoping that things will still slowly change, that the world of science will also recognize that for good science to be done, we also need good humans to be at their best with all their skills.
No, definitely. I mean, things are changing, but it is also a big part of why I do what I do as well, because I want the environment to be different in academia and in science in particular, because I want the people doing science to be healthy and not just suffering and dragging their feet at work because they think that they should be doing something right, and to be inspired, to be motivated, to feel joy of discovery and curiosity, and not just this drudgery of like, oh my God, I need to publish a high impact paper, so or something, right? Yeah, so that's why I also felt like I need to talk to you, because you're doing also somewhat similar work, and we are motivated by a similar thing to kind of bring change, bring some impact to academia, to an environment where people are really valuing this kind of logical thinking and very very brain-based decisions and interactions, but still, as you said, we are feeling human beings, we have emotions, and often they are informing the behaviors in ways that we might not realize, and making the situations a little bit difficult in ways we might not realize. And it's so amazing that you are doing this work, and that people recognize the importance of it also in PhD programs, in institutes, and inviting you to talk to them. So yeah, way to go.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start wrapping up, and I wanted to ask you for like last couple of things. So if you imagine a younger Ana in a PhD, let's say, I mean, you did say that, okay, you were already connected with your intuition, and a lot of your decisions were done intuitively and from chasing joy and excitement. But what would you like to say to her about like how the path is going to unfold, and maybe advice or a word of wisdom that you would like to say to your younger self?
Wow. I think I would tell her never to underestimate the ability she has to create valuable things for the world and for others, and really trust herself that she has everything she needs to create valuable things in the world.
Wow. I do think that this is something that so many people need to hear, not just younger version of you. Yeah, in academia and otherwise. Okay, from here, maybe one last question. We did talk a lot about like identity and this natural evolution, and the respectable career versus maybe things that not everybody will understand, but that feel natural and feel like an evolution, like a natural progression for you personally. How did your definition of success maybe change over time? What does a successful career or successful life mean to you now?
So right now, a successful career that I'm building actively and not yet there, but what I work towards is a career that makes me feel proud of the work I do every day, that makes me feel I'm really changing the world slightly to a better place, that I am having a positive impact in the world around me, and that I can make enough money to sustain myself, of course. So it's combining these different things. But yeah, I'm not really worried about like titles, and I want to measure my success by the amount of people I can influence in a positive way, and the good feedback they give me about the work I do. Yeah, and I mean, my goal is not to build a big business and become rich out of that. I think my main motivation to be in entrepreneurship right now is to test if I can merge the freedom to do whatever I want with the freedom of still earning money that sustains me, and maybe being even more flexible in the amount of money I can make, because I'm not only depending on like this fixed salary, but it's really about the freedom and the impact in the world.
Yeah. And I guess excitement every day about what
Every
you're
day,
doing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Being excited and energized with what I do, and being able to also do different things at the same time, which I love.
Well, I mean, definitely this path provides a lot of what you were looking for, the learning, the sometimes steep learning curves, and interaction, communication with so many different people, and inspiration, fulfillment, joy, everything. So I feel like, indeed, as I talk to you, I do feel like this was a natural next step, because it does fit the kind of person and the kind of like qualities that you embody and that you are looking for as well. Okay. It is also really exciting for me to, as I said, see where you're going to go with this and how things are going to unfold for you, because it does seem like you're doing such a great work, and I want this to work, and to like for you to be able to help multiple people, help academics, not academics, whatever. Very interesting journey you had, and very unusual in that you are a scientist who was following intuition and following maybe less the brain-based decisions, but more the body-based decisions, and that you left your academic career not out of like, I'm just done because this environment is horrible and people are horrible and I'm so burnt out, but you left from a very, like, again, embodied decision that I did what I wanted to. I was happy here, but now like my happiness maybe lies elsewhere, and I'm gonna chase that. And that is, I think, a lesson that maybe people can take, that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. Like, leaving doesn't mean failure. Sometimes it means a natural progression and evolution, and it's okay to follow joy and follow passion outside of maybe the mold and outside of societal expectations and pressures. And you're a wonderful example of that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being here with me today. It has been a really insightful and inspiring conversation. I hope people can learn from it as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all the listeners for being here with us, for drinking your coffee or tea or whatever you've been drinking on our friendly coffee chat. And I will see you back here very, very soon for more coffee-fueled conversations and hopefully inspiring discussions with others. And see you soon.